Let me ask every father watching this one question. Do you think you're a good father? Now, most of us would probably answer yes, and maybe we should. We worked hard, we provided, we protected, we loved our children the best way we knew how. But let me ask you another question. Can a good father still have regrets? I know I do. My son is in his late 20s, and I love him with everything I've got. But when I look back, I see moments where I should have shown up differently. Not because I didn't care, but because I thought there would always be more time. His mother and I had our conflicts. Some of that was because of me, some of it was because of her. But today isn't about deciding who deserves more blame. It's about accepting that I still had choices I had to make, and some of those choices still weigh on me today. Looking back, I don't believe I was a bad father. I believe I had the best intentions. So today, I want to have an honest conversation about why good fathers can still carry regrets and what we can do before those regrets become permanent. Welcome back to Four Titles, One Truth. I'm Tommie.
And I'm Lance. Today we're asking a question that I think every father eventually asks himself. Why do good fathers still carry regrets? Let's get into it.
When you hear the question, are you a good father? What does it actually mean to you? And do you think a good father still can fail their child in some ways?
Oh, yeah. To me, I mean, it's somebody that's being there, that's providing. Yeah. I mean, that's somebody who is present.
Right.
Is probably the easiest way, because I feel like if you're present, then you should be doing those other things. Now, don't get me wrong. You got some people that are sometimes there, but they checked out or they doing their own thing. So.
Right. So do you think a good father can still fail his child?
Yeah. I mean, it's and some of it is just because a good father, or what I'm looking at as a good father, my definition or whatever, is if you're sitting there providing, if you got to work, if and if you're going from job to job, or you're in your one job and then you're just spending that time, whatever, you're not just working 8 hours, you're working 12 hours or 14 hours, so it's I mean, and I feel like that's where, you get folks where it's like, I'm a good father, I was there, I did this, they had this, they never wanted for one, because that's the way I would think and felt.
That check the block.
Yeah, that I checked the block, that, and it's like, yeah. So, I mean, so that's probably one of the things that I had to learn, had to realize and had to learn and had to have a come to Jesus moment for myself, where it was like, I'm doing I'm doing that stuff, but I'm not here for them.
Enough.
Emotionally and those things like that, because I think we always revert back to thinking about how we were raised, and it was different times by different parents that were raised in a different manner because of how they were
and different people,
raised. So I mean, it's it's about adjusting. So how about you, brother?
So the situation with me and my son specifically, and just a quick. Me and his mother weren't together when he was born, and it's been very inconsistent over the years with my communication with him.
Right.
So to me, a good father is being present, like you said, being there, having the good intentions, and doing everything they can for their family or for their children. That to me is a good father.
Right.
And unfortunately, I would say that puts me below that. And the reason I say that is because there were times when I would let my emotions and the frustrations that I was having with his mother confuse the effort that I should have been given, right? So
Right.
that's where I feel that. But when I was with him, and when I had time and communication with him, I really felt like I
Put
was
it all
all
in.
in, yeah,
Okay. I
all in.
understand
So,
that.
and so that puts me in a situation where I absolutely believe anybody can have regrets in anything,
Oh yeah.
because we don't always live out the picture or
Right.
the path, or take the path that we dream or imagine we'll be on. And sometimes we make a decision to go left and we should have went right. So there's always regrets left in the world. But and I also believe that's a part of being a good person, a
Yep.
good human.
Well, that's because you care. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's because you can't regret
Absolutely.
something if you don't
Exactly.
care about
Yeah,
it. So,
absolutely. So yeah, so I agree with you. Absolutely, a good person can have, or a good parent can have regrets, and a good father can have regrets.
so looking back, what's one decision you made as a father that you would absolutely do different today?
It goes back to what I was saying. If I had a chance to redo time, right, I would stop trying to play the mind game of baby father versus baby mother. And I would acknowledge, accept, and never waver on if the relationship was over with the mother, but never for a second take my eye off the
That
prize,
relation,
which
your
is,
relationship
yeah,
with your
which is my
child was
son.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to give that some more depth, there were times where I would be cool and sort of flirty with my son's mother, because that seemed like the gateway to access to him. So whenever I was positive, and whenever I was just short of, making true statements about us getting back together, there were times when I knew that I was going to get emails, I was going to get phone calls, I was going to get contact,
Right.
right? But I also knew that after an argument, or when we're
It's
not
gonna be
feeling
radio
each other at
silence
all,
then.
not yes, radio silence, but to the point to where phone calls of mine weren't getting answered, emails weren't getting replied back to, and so I didn't react the way I should have. I shouldn't have said, well, get in my feelings, and now all of a sudden I'm not going to talk until I hear back from them or her, because it was never about him.
Right.
It was all my anger, my frustration. It was always between me and his mother. And so that would be my what I would do. I would absolutely understand that it should have always
Yeah,
been
that's rough,
him as my
man. I
priority.
mean,
Yeah.
that's rough. And how old? I mean, you were young too.
Yeah, yeah. It was early in the military. Like I was born in '99,
Right.
so I was 27, just really starting to see myself as a leader, as an army guy, and really start to become who I became. And I say this all the time, but I don't mean it as an excuse. I mean it as a failure on mine, where I was so self-involved and self-focused that early on I really had a hard time understanding my responsibilities to others outside of myself. And I'm including my parents. I didn't call home nearly as much as I should. I didn't go home nearly as much as I should. I didn't, my father passed, is when I started to mature more as a
Just
person.
well, that's I was thinking about it as you were answering. I was thinking, I was like, men
Yeah.
are just. I mean, it takes us a little bit to
Oh my
mature
gosh.
emotionally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and it don't matter. Like me and you, we're freaking 6 days apart. But I promise you, if you put our lives on paper, you can see, like, if it was like a graph, you'd see sometimes where maybe I was a little more mature, and then all of a sudden here you come being way more mature. It's so inconsistent.
yeah, I mean, it's just, and we can see it and recognize it, accept it,
Looking back,
put it out. Yeah, looking back at it now, because it's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe so as we look at, and I think part of that is because we led folks that were that age and,
Yeah.
younger, where we'd be
Yeah.
like, what is this bonehead thinking?
Yeah.
And then you can go back and think, it's like, God, dog, I did that shit. I did that same thing, or
Yeah.
did something worse than that. God, what's
Yeah.
going on? So
What would you change?
I just recognizing and seeing that I shouldn't have treated or tried to, some of the things that how I was raised
Yeah.
just didn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't go through easily with my kids, just
Right.
because my kids were raised, and I was raised awesome parents. Have had an awesome father. I have an awesome mother. Gave me all the love and affection, all of that, all of that stuff. But it's just certain things where how the kids are nowadays, how me and my wife were raising our kids is just different, because the situation, I didn't grow up in the military. I grew up in the same house
Yeah.
around my grandparents, around all my cousins,
Right.
my uncles, and I mean, I grew up in the same. I'd never had to move,
Pack
and
up and move somewhere.
my kids went to 3, 4 different schools before we got here to Texas, where we were like, okay,
This is it.
let's try to keep them, because that's the one thing where you finally realize, like, let's try to keep this stable for them,
Yeah.
and that's when we started just, if we had to deploy, then we would deploy. If we had to, one of us had to move to be a geographical bachelor, then we
Yeah.
would move
But the
and
children
do that.
would stay
Yeah,
here.
but just trying to keep them so that they could build friendships and build some confidence of being, in one area and
Yeah.
knowing a place. And
Like you did. So let
Yeah.
me ask you a question. Could you explain like a situation where you're saying that you regret? Because when you talk about it, it makes me think of my father was very hard on me, but I didn't have to be as hard on my son
mean,
as I was.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's things where my father, I mean, I was, and it's that's the other thing too. You think about the technology and all of that stuff that what's around now,
Yeah.
what we didn't have. So
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, we were going outside and stuff all the time. So if I like doing yard work and cutting grass, because that was one of the things that I did. If I saw my father out doing something, I would go out and be like, "Hey, Dad, you need me to do something?" Or I'm sitting there trying to learn
Yeah.
what he's
Because you
doing,
automatically
because
assume that's what men do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought needed to be
Yeah.
done. And and instead of especially with my son, you want the best for best for them. You want them to be better
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah.
You absolutely want them to be
You
the
want them to
best men
know
they can be,
everything,
you
know
want
how
them
to act.
to present themselves the
Yeah.
best, so that they can get a good woman, or
So their life
whatever.
is
Yeah,
so
so that
much
they have
easier.
you
Yeah.
want them to have both your kids. You want your daughters also. You want them to
Yeah.
have. You want them to just. You want the
Yeah.
best for them.
Yeah.
So it's just
Clouds,
like
living in the clouds. Yeah.
And instead of, I tell you, instead of adjusting to situation how my kids are and were, I'm thinking, why I gotta always ask you to do something? Why don't you just come out and do this? Why don't you like
Yeah.
coming out and doing this yard work or learning? Instead of getting upset about that, and I'm like, okay, then you're fired. I'm not gonna even try.
Yeah.
With you, whatever. It's those things where it was like, I mean, because my son, I would fire him off if he were out doing something. I'd be like, just go in the house. I can't.
Never mind.
Instead of just going, no, come on, let's let's get through this because it's something, because, you know, now it's like, how you do that, Dad? Or, no, and it's like, okay, here, this is what you need to do. So he's grown and matured, and I, you know, where it was like, okay.
Well, it just wasn't interesting to him.
No.
And that's
I mean,
the
he
thing.
said he still don't like
But it was interesting to us growing up because that's what we saw our father doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we looked at and said, okay, I mean, and he's always seen me working and doing the difference. I mean, along with doing the yard, you know, the other things around the house that I know how to do, but he's keying in on the schooling and all of the job and things like that, where it's like, okay, that's what because that's what he's seeing, is like, that's how mom and dad are successful. That's what I need to do. Yeah. Then all the other stuff just happens. Yeah.
Magic.
It just appears. I go in my room, I go to bed and wake up, and boom. Clothes are washed. Dishes are clean. Oh, trash is out.
There is a God.
That's right.
That's funny.
Absolutely.
All right. So at what point, in your opinion, does providing for your family stop being enough? Because when you say that, of course, it's easy to answer, right? Because there's the social acceptable answer. But let's dive into it. When does your presence become more valuable than the income that you're bringing in?
When folks start having problems. You know, when you see, if your kids aren't talking to you, or your wife or whoever's not, you know, there's no conversation or anything going on, and it just feels like you got a bunch of roommates or employees, you know, when you walk into the house, then it's like, okay, what's going on? You know, or if you start not knowing what's going on with their lives, and you're not getting to their activity, you know, I look at it as like, I felt like I needed to be present so I could be part of what they're doing, so I understood what they were doing, so, you know, and sometimes especially when I was younger, but they were younger too, I didn't have to worry about it too much because I would be on call, and I mean, we just
working,
just grinding, you know, just working. But when I got older, different jobs, you know, where I had the time to, like, okay, let me be the band nurse, you know, let me help out that way. And then that way I'll be around Miles, and I'll go to the different competitions, the football, you know, just so that I would be present, so that he could see that that piece of him, you know, and be there for Mackenzie with her activities. And it's like, so that they knew that I'm here for, you know, I'm here for you.
Right.
Nobody else is here for, I'm your biggest cheerleader. So.
Yeah. No, I get that. So like I said, because of my situation a little different, you know, just honestly looking back, man, I didn't know how to be a father not in the same house. And I didn't work hard enough to be present when I'm not physically present. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, one thing I can admit, man, the love for my son only grew in my whole life. It never wavered, and it never went backwards.
Never faded away.
No, never. He was always the first thing I thought of, the first person, I thought about every morning, right? And the hardest relationship in my life, because it didn't pan out the way I always expected it would. I'd have the comparisons of how my father raised me, you know, and that's why I tell everybody that one thing, and my dad was always there. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he was away working, but I always knew where he was. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't, when I woke up in the morning and he wasn't home, it was because I already knew he was going to be at work, because I knew what shift he was going, you know, or I already knew he was going to go play golf or whatever, you know. And at night, there was never a night, unless he worked, you know, the third and fourth shift. There's never a night that he wasn't home, you know. And so my belief and my expectation for myself was to always be there. But when you have a relationship outside of wedlock and then you're out of state as well, and sometimes out of country, it's hard to stay as focused that you need, especially when you're not sure what to do anyway.
Right.
And then you throw in the fact that the two parents in this situation,
button heads.
could not be happily ever after, right? Because there's just too much conflict between the two. And then you throw in the anger and the frustration that you have with each other. And like I said, I let my emotions get the best of me when I should have been making what we all say us men do, when I should have made the logical efforts, and that my emotions were in the way, you know what I'm saying? And then I also have to throw in there the job, because like I said, I was self-centered and self-focused because I felt I had to put my energy in, and I was bent on being a role model for my son, showing him how when you put that effort out there and it's intentional, the progress, the results will come, right?
Right. So it gets, I mean, even though you weren't there every day with him, you were going to show him, it's like, look, this is what
something
you do.
He could be proud of. Yeah. And that was an illogical direction that I went because I was just wasn't there, and there was just too much going on.
That's a hard. I try to think of.
Yeah,
that's hard, man.
Yeah, and then and there are many men out there that did it way better than me, right? And I applaud them for being aware enough to. I mean, if they were in a situation where they were out of the state, out of the country, I applaud them for the efforts that they did, and hopefully their relationships are much better than mine now. But it was it's hard.
I'd say it's hard, and the
hard,
military doesn't make it easy for you. So
no.
Yeah, I mean it's something. How do conflict and pride between adults end up becoming burdens that children have to carry? Yeah, I mean you've been.
I'm the perfect. I'm the perfect example, and I don't mean this in a shallow way, but it goes back to, if you fix yourself, the fallout is so much less. You know what I'm saying? And so my son had to deal with the fact that me and his mother weren't together, me and his mother weren't going to be together, and me and his mother weren't really cordial with each other. So that's a huge failure on my part, right? Because I should have, it just should have been better, man. And I'm not trying to beat myself up, and I'm not giving myself any leeway or whatever. It's just so obvious that the actions or the inactions of parents affect your children, and sometimes those will turn out and make your children stronger. Sometimes it'll turn out and give them mental problems, mental health issues. But the biggest thing is it's going to affect your relationship with your children as you get older.
Yeah.
Because I do have the ability to go back with Kaylin, and my daughter, where Nikki had before we got together. And because Nikki and I were together off and on for so long, I had the ability to communicate and be around Kaylin a lot more over the years after a certain point. And I made sure that when I communicated, it was intentional, and when I communicated, it was worthwhile.
Right.
But I also had another conflict on that side because I didn't know how far I could go in being a daily representation of what fatherhood looks like, because Kaylin has her own father, and Kaylin has her own that side of the family, and I wasn't smart enough to just straight ask the question at the time to Nikki about what my boundaries are as far as
Were you
punishment.
not smart enough, or were you afraid to?
I think it was both. I think I wasn't smart enough because I was like, because you
Just
live
knowing
life.
that if I ask, then at least I'll know.
Yeah, but then you live life, and you know that whether it be TV, movies, or real life, it'd be like, if I'm not, my perspective, if I'm not around my son, but that's my son, I'm not too happy with another man disciplining him, another man being that parent or whatever.
There.
That's that selfishness. That's that only thinking about me thing. And so I had that chip on one shoulder because I wasn't her actual biological father. But then on the other shoulder, it was, just ask Nikki, just
Right.
make it a real conversation so that
Right.
you can do it. But yeah, I didn't do that either. I do know that the weight is real. And the older you get and the more your world starts to fill in the blanks, you start to see all of the failures that you had. And you see the successes as well, because, Kaylin's an outstanding adult, grown woman, and Jalen is, he knows what responsibility is, and he's out there living and making his way.
Doing all right.
They're not failures, because of me, So that gives me hope. That gives me a happy feeling that I added
Right.
something,
I think that we're harder on ourselves.
Oh.
I think that
Yeah.
we'll look at situations and things where it's like, man, I jacked that, and then like other folks look in and be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's just like, because I know that you're hard. I'm hard on myself, and it's just because it's like in my head, it's just I know it could have been better.
Yeah.
I know I could have went about it in a different manner to make it not affect my family or whatever, affect them in that way, or could have. It's just we're just super hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes we shouldn't be and don't have to be,
Yeah.
Especially when we look at, especially your kids. You look at your kids and be like, man, them jokers are.
And that's
some good. Now for both of us, they're adults.
Yeah.
So you look at them and be like, man, that's a good man, or that's a good woman.
Yes.
Yeah, dog. So
yes, and then you start to say, in spite of me, you still don't give yourself, the
give yourself
pat
a little
on the
credit.
back. Yeah,
just a little credit.
But since we both are military lifers, it's real when you not only are a parent at home, but an effective leader has parental. You have those parental feelings and those parental actions toward your soldiers.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And
definitely, especially when you get older, and and you're at the ranks that we retired. It's like we were leading kids that were younger than our kids, or the same age
18
as our
and
kids.
up, And it's all that to say, it's hard sometimes when you look back, and I look back, and you see how much energy and how much time and fatherhood like you were to soldiers compared to your own children, and so it's This topic is a real wound for me, and it's something that I'm daily now trying to not fix, but trying to improve and make the future better when it comes to relationships. So.
All right. Because I was fortunate that me and Audra, the biggest kids, we never involved the kids in any of that stuff. So it was either because a lot of it was me, and I realized this early in our career just because it was necessary, because I had a vision and a goal of the end game for us, because it's certain jobs that, again, I think we talked about this before, certain jobs that she had to have that, okay, I can't go do this, and I can't be a jerk,
Yeah. Selfish.
Yeah, selfish. Can't, get upset about it, because then how is that going to affect her and her? Because it's like, you want the best
for both of you,
both of us, because then that's going to trickle down to what we can do for our kids. So, I mean, luckily,
but it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not luck, though. It's a conscious decision that you made and Audra made that allowed you all a little bit of grace for each other, because you both knew, well, you grew to learn what the military could do for you and your family.
Right.
Yeah, and the difference from that is that it's just obviously a different, it's a different level of maturity again in that specific area.
That's why I say, luckily.
No, it wasn't lucky, man. That's what I'm saying, though. It wasn't. It was. You could say.
I understand it, but it's just, you still like.
Yeah.
Because I still will see that.
Because you see the holes.
24-year-old, like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I still see that kid, that younger piece of it, piece of me where.
The failures of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, man.
Yeah. Like you said, it's everybody who becomes a parent has never gone to a school, has never had the 12-year education or the 4-year college. Yeah, it's one of those things where you
ain't majoring in that.
Yeah, and you do the best you can, and then you hope that your energy and effort and intentions are enough. So I get that. All right, so when does patience become avoidance?
Ooh. If you're patient enough, you think you want it to go away. That's what you're looking for. It's like, I'll wait.
Or they'll learn it on their own.
Now. Yeah, they can do it. I mean, I think if you don't address or look if it's a problem, whatever, in the face and try to figure it out, then it's either going to go away and it's going to affect you where you're not going to get the outcome or see the outcome or response.
Yeah, that you want.
that you want or that should happen.
Yeah.
Or if you sit there and continuously avoid something. I mean, it's just waiting for something to blow up.
Patience becomes avoidance when there is no end state.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm like, I'm gonna let this joker stand up on this table, and then that joker falls down, then I'm gonna give.
And it's like, okay, do you gonna be at the ER? Yeah. It's like, how much time do you want to really invest in this?
Yeah. So that's what give them enough to where they can fail, but you're there to catch them.
Right.
You
said, what did it say? Give them enough rope.
Yeah. I ain't want you. But yes, if your kicking the can down the road, then that's not patience. That's avoidance. But if you are, sort of allowing them to find themselves, and then you're there when they do, to help, cheer them on, then to me, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, I mean, I used to always try to, and I still do to this day, give them those options. Be like, look, you can do such and such and such, but this is what might happen. So then if they do choose the route that I was like,
I wouldn't.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I support them. Like, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? What you need?
Yeah.
Because that's how you learn sometimes. I know that's how I learned a lot of times, where it was like, God, I won't never do that again.
And that was something else I had to learn, man. I had to learn to stop ordering all the time with both kids and start talking and listening. Because we as men, we consider ourselves the fixers, and
we know,
but we don't. So I know it took me a while, and I do it very often now with both of them, to where I try to listen to their problems.
That's important.
And then I try, and I don't come back with an answer. I try to give them a situation or a perspective that I have, and present it to them, and then try to give them
allow them to come back with what they're thinking, and ask you what your opinion is. I mean, that's what I was like, because that's what I know that I used to do with my my dad, with my parents, is like, I rattle off stuff to them and say, what you think? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, that, go ahead and try. I mean, that works. That sounds good. Or
And that's what I try to be now. I try to, we had a situation the other day where we were on the phone, Nikki and I were on the phone with one of our children, and they were going through a situation at work. And I was just sitting there like, I know how I deal with this joker, but I have to take into consideration that they don't have my personality. They don't have my years of experience, and they don't have my hard-headedness, my bullheaded, whatever attitude. So I was just sitting there saying, well, situation like this, I had to wait and see that there was a bigger reason, a deeper reason, and before I acted, or before I was able to shake it off and move forward, whatever. And that, it's a valuable thing to learn when you're an adult with adult kids. Stop talking to them like they're children and start listening to them like they're adults.
Yeah, they're grown. I mean, you want to treat them like they're grown, so
Absolutely.
let them deal with some of that fallout of being grown.
Absolutely. Some of them trenches they're going to have to trip over.
I think every father who truly loves his children carries some regret. Not because we didn't care, not because we weren't trying, but because raising children doesn't come with a manual. And sometimes we don't realize what mattered most until years later. The good news is this: regret doesn't have to be the end story. If your child is still here, if there's still a conversation to have, if there's still time to show up, then use it. Say what needs to be said, own what needs to be owned, and keep loving them the best way you know how. Because being a good father was never about being perfect. It's about having the humility to grow, the courage to change, and the willingness to never stop being their dad.
Hey, I want to thank you all for spending part of your day with us. If this conversation made you think about your own relationship with your father or with your children, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who you feel needs to hear it. Please. And then talk to them about it.
Yep.
And we'd love to hear from you. What regret has fatherhood taught you? Yeah. Or what lessons are you trying to pass on before it's too late? And leave us a comment wherever you're watching or listening.
Until next time, Let's keep the conversation going.